Do you see yourself as someone that's worthy, deserving of money, good enough to have money? And most people don't. Wealthy people actually believe that they not only are worthy, but they're the right person. I'm the person who should have the money because I'm going to do good with it. And that is when you release the fear or doubt, which is holding it back.
Today, we have a super special guest. My partner actually read a couple of his books. Kevin Trudeau is a world-renowned entrepreneur, #1 New York best-selling author, which we'll talk a little bit more about his book. And one of the most controversial truth storytellers or truth tellers of our time. I am not a huge reader, but Danielle has told me everything about his book, and I've watched so many of his YouTube videos, and I'm so excited for him to be here. Kevin, thank you for joining us on the show today.
My pleasure. Glad to be here.
Yay. Well, let's dive into your book, because I know a couple of people on this panel have already either started the book or finished the book. So I'm going to have you guys jump in and kind of start that conversation with the book.
I was going to say, I think the thing that most intrigued me about your book, because there's so many books out there about manifesting and building your wealth and being able to have anything that you want. But the way in which, and in the beginning, you alluded to the way in which you use energetics, and it's very different. And I work with energetics all the time. I'm psychic. And whenever I see people talk about energy, I'm like, you're really talking about like just emotions or something. But you really allude to the energetics. And so for me, that was super intriguing. Immediately bought the book, especially because we're sitting here today. So I'd love for you to kind of explain a little bit more of that energetic aspect, where it came from, where you started tapping into that.
Yeah, I didn't invent anything in the book. I actually learned it. It was taught to me. I was given an entire puzzle piece of how to manifest. And we didn't use the word manifest back in the 60s and the 70s.
Yeah.
We used how to set a goal and achieve a goal, how to make what you want happen in life. We didn't use the word manifest. That's kind of the new thing today. Or create the reality you want. How do you do that? It's actually mathematics. There's a 40-point algorithm that I was taught from an organization I was a part of called the Brotherhood. We could see energy. We could manipulate energy. We knew how to control the mind, actually shut it off instead of having that chatter going nonstop in your head. We could control the mind and actually broadcast a picture of what we wanted on a very narrow beam, right in between alpha and theta. And we call that the wealth wave or the billionaire brainwave. And when you do that, people like yourself that are psychic or intuitives and can see or feel energy or are empaths, they can virtually see the molecules in the universe start to vibrate. They all have vibrational frequencies to them. Therefore, they all have attractive or repulsive energy or power, just like a magnet. So when you put out what you really want, you either attract what you want, or if you're doing it incorrectly, you're repelling it and keeping it away from you. You're putting out a counter intention that people don't even realize. They say they want, but they're putting out fear, which is a counter intention, and it's actually keeping it away from them. Which is why people always say it happened when I least expected it, because they released an attachment to the outcome at that point, and then it was they were allowing it to come in as opposed to trying to force something to happen, which was actually repelling it. So I was taught this whole puzzle piece. I used it myself. My company's generated over $25 billion in sales around the world. I had 3 TV networks in Europe and mining operations in Australia and a whole bunch of other enterprises. I didn't come from a wealthy family. My dad was a welder. I had no money. I had no connections, had no college education. So using this, it actually worked. And then I taught about 100 people in my sphere how to do just some of it, not even all of it. And they all became multimillionaires and started, quote, manifesting what they wanted. But it's really setting goals and achieving those goals while maintaining a really good emotional state where you don't get triggered all the time, where people are always pushing your buttons and you have these uncontrollable and irrational emotions. Because that's the most important thing, that you go through life and virtually say, I love my life and I love being me, regardless of whether you have a lot of money or if you're in debt or things aren't, quote, going very well in the external world. As long as your internal state is really one of bliss, you could say, that's a new word too that everybody uses, but at least anchored in a state of certainty then that's really the most important thing.
For the theta and alpha waves, there's a way to activate it. And one of the examples you gave in the book was to listen to Baroque music, which I've been listening to since Christmas, like every day. Like even in our hotel room, I'll turn it on. It's true. Yeah, it's very true. But what are some other ways that we can activate those brainwaves?
Well, if you look at wealthy people throughout history, one of the things that they always did was go out in nature. In nature. So we have things in nature. If you're going through trees where there's a wind, we know now science tells us that all these negative ions are being produced. That affects the physical body. It affects the brain, which is part of the physical body. And it puts the left and right brain hemisphere, it puts them in sync. So instead of broadcasting on beta, which is the slave wave or the poverty brain wave, you start being more in alpha or in theta or right in between. The sweet spot is right in between theta and alpha. Another one is crickets. You know, at nighttime, you go outside and you hear all these sounds of nature. It's harmonies. It's these amazing frequencies and harmonies, which mathematicians and musicians can both agree that this is magical. I mean, a composer couldn't put these things together. It is perfection, and it actually synchronizes the left and right brain hemisphere. The sound of water, running water like a river, does the same thing. So there's a lot of things you can do that actually put you, and here's another one. If you notice, all wealthy people throughout history, they collected art. Okay, people thought they were investing, and that's true. J. Paul Getty, in his book How to Be Rich, talked about investing in art, and it was a great thing to do. But the Hearst Castle in California, William Randolph Hearst, and many others, they all had art because not of the investment or the tax savings, that was part of it, but the big one was the aesthetic wave of beauty.
Yes.
Being when you look at whether it's a plant, a tree, or a piece of art that connects with people, then it passes the test of time. It actually has a mathematical geometric sequence, which is the aesthetic wave of beauty, and it makes your heart sing, but it also synchronizes your left and right brain hemisphere. So these are little tricks that make a big difference in helping people manifest, that's the key word, right? Their goals, dreams, and desires easier with less effort without feeling overwhelmed, stressed out, uptight, nervous, fearful of losing what you have, going through life with a smile on your face and a song in your heart, and then making your dreams come true is really the ideal scene.
I love what you're saying, Kevin. You're speaking my language. I taught metaphysics for 10 years, even though I'm an entrepreneur. What's interesting is now I'm Christian, not that kind of Christian, but you know what I'm saying? But what I love about truths, it doesn't matter where you put it, the same thing applies, right? Whether you're doing transcendental meditation, it's about controlling the thoughts, right? Controlling your mind. Whether you're looking at metaphysics, about controlling your thoughts, redirecting them towards what you want, or in the Bible when it says renew your mind, right? To take control of your thoughts. So I love that truth all applies. How would you, because a lot of times I can talk from both worlds. There's a lot of Christians that are like, you're doing woo-woo things. That's not Christian based. So I wanted to bring that in, like, you're talking about a fundamental truth here, and there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing witchy or crazy, right? It's just the truth. And it's actually physics, right? Of resonance and dissonance.
Yeah, it's physics. It's also mathematics. When you look at the 40-point algorithm of what successful people do, and a lot of people who are very successful, they make a couple $100 million, and you ask them, did you ever read a book on how to manifest goals, dreams, and desires? No. Did you ever read Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill? No. Did you ever apply any of this? No. What did you do? Well, I defined exactly what I wanted, and I wrote it down, and I thought about it. They do exactly what's in the books, okay? But they do it either subconsciously or intuitively. And at the end of the day, this is not mystical or magical. We use those words manifest or create your reality, but at the end of the day, you're defining what you want, you're writing it down clearly, very clearly. You're thinking about what you want. You're getting a picture in your mind of you in possession of what you want. You're feeling right now as if you would feel if you actually had it. And then you release attachment to the outcome and saying, if it doesn't happen, it's perfectly okay, while maintaining that state. And that is when you release the fear or doubt which is holding it back.
That leads me to another question. I love what you said here about exposing the lies. So what if someone doesn't feel worthy enough to ask for something?
Yeah.
Right?
There's a book that was written in the 60s, the original version by Dr. Maxwell Maltz, called Psycho-Cybernetics. And he was the first person, later popularized by Zig Ziglar, the great motivational speaker and a good friend of mine. But Psycho-Cybernetics came out in 59, I believe, the original version. And he talked about the self-image. What image do you have of yourself in your own mind?
Yes.
Do you see yourself as someone that's worthy, deserving of money, good enough to have money? And most people don't. Wealthy people, when you look in their field, if you're looking in their field at their beliefs or energy, you find that they have 3 core pillars of beliefs, but not beliefs, that they're facts in their mind. Number 1, that money itself is good. Money is not the root of all evil. The love of money is the root of all evil, which is completely different.
I talked about that yesterday.
Money is not bad. If Jesus had a treasurer working for him. Poor people don't need treasurers. He had plenty of money. Yep. Money is not bad. So money is not the root of all evil. Money itself is intrinsically good. And so wealthy people understand that poor people have a counter intention. It's actually in their DNA from many of their relatives who are very religious. And they have this belief that, it's easier for a camel to walk through the eye of a needle than a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven. And they think that in order to go to heaven, you have to be poor. The poor will inherit the earth. So there's all these misunderstandings about what money is. But wealthy people know that money itself is good. Number 2, they know it's safe to have money. People that are struggling with money have a subconscious belief that if I have money, someone's going to try to steal it from me. People are going to lie to me. I'm going to lose my friends. I'm going to be used. I'm going to be taken advantage of. So they actually have a subconscious belief that money, if they had it, is not safe to have. It's actually unsafe to have a lot of money because you become a target. Mm-hmm. So money is good and money is safe. And the third one is I'm worthy of having this money because I'm going to do good with it. Wealthy people say, I'm the person who should have the money, like Andrew Carnegie, because I'm going to build hundreds, thousands of libraries around the country and educate people. I'm the guy who should have the money because I'm going to do good with it. So wealthy people actually believe that they not only are worthy, but they're the right person. It's like, coach, put me in, give me the ball.
Wow.
I'm the guy who should have it. Where people that struggle with making money subconsciously don't have that self-image. So one of the points of the algorithm is actually to change the image you have of yourself relating to money and relating to relationships and relating to health and your body, et cetera, et cetera. And then it tells you exactly how to. Yes. What are the procedures? Oh, change your self-image. Okay, how? What do I do? Well, take a piece of paper and there's a specific bunch of things you have to do if you want to start reprogramming and changing that self-image.
It was just an awakening. My income has doubled. I'm getting close to tripling.
You can build an amazing, amazing life, although just your wishes, your command.
How much more money I'm earning and the woman that I have in my life is just miraculous.
Your wish is your command gave me the recipe to manifest the job that I wanted. It really just gives you the recipe.
After I finished it, my life changed. My income doubled. I make lots of money. It was like magic.
I'm making more money than I've ever had, ever.
Enlightening.
Empowering.
Powerful, but simple.
Inspiring. Activating.
After getting the wishes or command, I went from 5K on my bank account to 8 million in 1.5 years.
You are like my hero right now.
Well, thank you so much.
I teach a course called Alive OS, and it stands for Abundance Lives in Vibrational Energy, and OS stands for the operating system. And my whole premise is you were programmed, and you can reprogram yourself, right? Mm-hmm. So yeah, amazing. I'm writing down all these notes. I'm like, he's so great.
You know, Zig Ziglar, who was one of my heroes, we traveled together, great guy. He said, you were born to win, yes, but programmed to lose.
Yes, that's amazing. I love that you give back so much talks. That was one of the things, like Zig and all these guys kept me afloat. So it's so important to listen to people like you. In my experience, I've had the ups and I've had a lot of the downs, right? And in the downs, people like you, Kevin, are the people that I would, back in the day, having my 8-track player in my car, right? Just listening. And I often say it was like a lifeboat, you know? So a lot of times when we can't imagine this for ourselves, people like you can give us a lifeboat, right? To help us start believing and reprogramming some of that unconscious. Like if he believes that, maybe I could believe it too.
And that's one of the key points in the algorithm of success, which is every day, especially today more than ever, you cannot get away with nonstop programming. You are being programmed every single day. I get on the plane and there's a screen right in front of me. I cannot shut the screen off. It will not let me. And it's bombarding me with all these images and sounds, which is programming. I have to shut my eyes and put my Bose headphones on to avoid it, but it's still blasting and I can't shut it off. You go to the airport, all these screens are everywhere. You're getting nonstop advertising and programming. You have to counteract it, which is why one of the things that wealthy people do is read. Leaders are always readers. And if you can't read, okay.
Like then there's me over here. I'm like that one person.
Then listen to the audiobook. Because the second thing—
I do love movies. I can watch movies. I watch everything on Netflix.
Watch it.
I'm like, is there a movie for that?
There you go. So if you can't read, which is, it activates a part of the brain that nothing else does. So consider it. Leaders are always readers. And even if it's 5 minutes a day, it's better than no minutes a day. Okay. 5 minutes a day reading a positive thinking book. And there's a lot of them out there that'll help start counteracting the negative programming that we're getting every single day. And then listening to positive motivational audio cassettes. Yes. Back then it was audio cassettes. I'm old, obviously. I'm still thinking audio cassettes, but that's after reel-to-reels and 8-tracks. But listen to some type of digital recording of a motivational, inspirational talk podcast that will inspire you. And ideally, if you're listening to success stories, and the History Channel has all these success stories, the food that changed America or built America, and you see all these successful people going through all the adversity and overcoming it. And that's the theme, by the way. Adversity is and overcoming it. Successful people are not people without problems. They're people who overcome problems. That's the difference. Successful people get knocked down more than unsuccessful people. The difference is they just keep getting back up.
I have a question on that too. So I had a whole conversation with this gentleman last week at this conference, and he literally, like, I watched a video on his channel and he was like, and I don't believe in any of this manifestation stuff. I built my success because I put in the hard work, time, and money, you know, on that side. And a lot of the people in that room actually thought that. And so I kind of kept my mouth shut based on some of my beliefs on things. And I was like, well, there's such a power behind manifestation. But one of the videos I actually watched on your YouTube channel, you were stating that, you know, it's not just the thought. Yet, like, yes, we can write down our thought, we can set our goals, we can take the action. Like, I'm a very much an action taker type of, at this point, more like calculated, risks. In the beginning, it was just like action, because people were like, well, how did you do this? I'm like, well, I took the action, I followed up, I did this. But this guy was like, oh, no, you can't manifest this stuff. You have to put the time and energy in. What would you say to those type of people? Because you had this video where you're like, it's not just about the manifestation. It's these people are actually putting in the time and the energy and some of the work to be able to allow this to open.
There's two sides of this. One is the thoughts. Sometimes we call it the vibrational frequencies you put out, but it's your thinking. It's your attitude. That's one side.
Yeah.
And the other side is action. Now, you have to have both. If you take action and you have a real crappy attitude, you're not going to get good results. If you just sit and meditate and go, and I'm appreciative and I love my life and I'm so thankful and grateful and do nothing, you're not going to make any money. You're not going to create the life you want. You have to go out and do something. When you combine them both, that's when you have magic. You have to have the right attitude with the action. And if you have the right thinking and do it correctly, you will be motivated to jump out of bed earlier than ever before because you can't wait to start the day. Yeah. I go fishing. Some people go skiing. I was on a ski trip. I don't like skiing. I like fishing, but I went with my buddies skiing. At 4:00 in the morning, they're jumping out of bed. And I go, what are you guys doing? We're going to hit the slopes. And I go, I'm staying in bed. You guys can. But they were jumping out of bed, motivated and inspired, fired up, enthusiastic and excited to go slide down a mountain all day and get exhausted by the end of the day. They were excited to do that and they loved every minute of it. I, on the other hand, stayed in bed. Now, flip it. A couple of those buddies went on a fishing trip with me. 4:00 in the morning, I'm jumping out of bed and they're going, what are you doing? We're going fishing. They didn't like fishing. So I was motivated and inspired to do what I love to do. So when you have your thinking right about your dream, your goal, what you want to attain, you cannot stop action. You don't want to go to sleep. You're up until 12:00 at night going, I can go another. I'm so full of energy because I'm doing what I love to do. I'm doing all this action stuff to manifest my goal, dream, and desire. You have to have both of them. I was on a show and this interviewer said to me, oh, you're one of those positive thinking guys. And I bet you think you can do anything with a positive attitude. I said, actually, no, you can't do anything with a positive attitude, but you can do everything better than if you had a negative attitude.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you have to have both. You have to have the thinking correct, and then you have to have the action. And if your thinking is correct, the action will not be work. It will be the most pleasurable experience of your life. And then you understand the statement, which is the journey is the reward.
Yeah. What have you seen? So this has happened over the years and she's seen it happen within our life as well, where I literally will state something out loud, like physically out loud, and it will happen like in a matter of instance. Like there was a scenario, we went up to Sedona and we went hiking and there was this thing that was going on and I had to resolve this scenario. And I said, you know what, I'm going to hike up Bell Rock. I'm going to, meditate, do the things and kind of pray about it. And I was like, when I was walking up the rock, I was like, you know what? I was like, this gentleman's going to call me right now. We're going to resolve this and it's going to be amazing. Within literally 2 seconds, my phone rang. It was the gentleman. He's like, this is not on you. Actually, it's not your fault. We're going to resolve this. I understand what happened with the scenario. And we're going to, it was just like things like that. But like, how does that happen so fast? Like it like in a matter of seconds, happening multiple times in life. And it's crazy. Like does that, like you have the thought and like, this guy's going to call me right now. He does.
When you're all lined up and you speak something, it virtually manifests. Yes. We'll use that word. Yep. It manifests. The tongue is a creative force. You are hung by the tongue. You are snared by the words of your mouth. That's a scriptural, by the way, quote. What you say is what you get. Now, there's a science behind this. Mm-hmm. You've heard all of you here on the panel, you've heard your voices on audio, and you know that it doesn't sound anything like you sound. Yeah. Well, that's exactly how you sound. To me and everybody else. But it's not how you sound to yourself. Why? Because when you speak out of your mouth, the sound comes out of your mouth, vibrates into the ether, and goes into your eardrum, and your eardrum vibrates, and you pick up some of the sound, but only about 25%. 75% of the sound comes from your vocal cords and goes up through bone into your brain. And then your brain processes that, which is different. It vibrates your whole head when you speak. So this is why you sound or think you sound differently when you speak. 2/3 of the sound is going into bone, into the brain. Only 1/3 is coming into your eardrum. But when you listen to yourself on audio, 100% is going into your eardrum. Therefore, it sounds different. So when you speak out loud, you are creating with your words. Yes. Your brain vibrates it 10 times more than if you just think a thought. So speaking is magical. There's the word abracadabra that magicians used to use. They used to say, abracadabra, I now pull a rabbit out of the hat. And he pulls a rabbit out of the hat. The word abracadabra actually has a Persian origin, and it means I now create with my words. So it's true. So if I say abracadabra, or in English, I now create with my words, I will pull a rabbit out of the hat, and then the rabbit comes out. This goes back to ancient times where the jinn and the ancient mystics knew the power of speech. You are hung by the tongue. You have to watch the words that come out of your mouth. I'll tell you a quick story. I had a friend of mine who knew this stuff. He actually taught seminars on this stuff, but he got into a habit. He didn't even realize it. Every time he looked at a deal, every single time he would say this, well, I have a concern about something. A concern means I am vibrating fear. So every time he would do a deal, he would instantly, automatically, without even thinking, out of habit, use the word concern and vibrate fear and never made deals, or the deals would always go sideways. I pointed this out to him and said, stop using that. Say instead, I have a question. There's no fear there. I need to have this clarified. There's no fear there. Or even better, saying, there's something here I think we can make better. Now you're in complete control. You just took power and control in that negotiation. He did that. Within 3 weeks, he signed a $10 million deal that put $10 million cash into his pocket. He says, Kevin, how much do I owe you for the consultation? I said, no, you've been a friend of mine for 35 years. I said, keep the money and take me to lunch one day.
And Kevin, isn't that, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
And Kevin, isn't that true about people that are always perpetuating drama? Like something happens and they get on the phone and they have to call all their friends to tell exactly what happened, right? And I'm thinking about, biblically speaking, if we believe the Bible, it says God said, let there be light, and there was light, right? The spoken word is formed, but people don't understand. They're like, but that really happened. Right?
Yes.
I really, that person really was mean to me and XYZ.
Yeah. And one of the points of the algorithm is watch your words. And there's another point in there and it says, stop telling your story.
Yep.
Stop telling your story. What you say is what you get. Stop telling your story of woe and how you've been a victim and how people have done this to you and how people have done that. Because the stories are all the same.
Yep.
Every single person's story is the same. They did this to me. They did that to me. That person screwed me. That person betrayed me. They cheated on me. They did this. They did this. They did this. Excuse me. Every time you point your finger at somebody, there's 3 fingers pointing directly back at you. That's number one. It's never about the other person. It's always about you, because in every one of those scenarios, there's only one consistent. There's only one common denominator. You were there. That means you're the problem. Work on yourself. Stop looking at changing other people. If a person stops changing, wanting to change other people, say, if they change, then I'll feel better, they're going to live a miserable life, and stop talking about it. If you just work on yourself and saying, regardless of the external conditions or circumstances or situations, I maintain my state of equanimity and joy and bliss and connection with all that is, regardless if that person stabs me in the back or not. And guess what happens when you start changing it and going in that direction? All of a sudden, people change. Nobody stabs you in the back anymore.
How does a person start noticing that? One time I was with this creative coach of mine, and I was telling her how awful something really was. And on one hand, it was really awful. And she stops me and she says, I will not argue your limitations. And I was like, shit, right? It's like, dang, man. But that was an external, right? Somebody calling me out. How do we do that with ourselves?
Well, what happens when something happens with a person, and in that particular case, the first question is, did I respond to that, or am I reacting to it? Did that person just push one of my buttons? And invariably the answer is yes. And that's good. That's when you should say, thank you, universe. Thank you. Thank you for letting this person slap me across the face or yell at me or say something mean or do something nasty, because I just got triggered. And now I know there's something I can transmute. There's some energy that I can clear out of my field. I can transmute some energy because something got triggered and came to surface. The universe doesn't do things to us. It does things for us. In every adversity is the seed of a greater benefit. J. Paul Getty said that, one of the richest men in the world at the time. John D. Rockefeller said the number one thing after giving, because he was a big Christian and he was a giver, he said, you have to give, otherwise you're not going to attain wealth. He said, after giving, the number one thing that has created my wealth is knowing and finding the gold, the seed of a greater benefit in every adversity. In every adversity is the seed of a greater benefit. And when you watch the History Channel with all those great shows, The Men Who Built America, they had women on there too, obviously, with Mrs. Fields and so forth. And there was a bunch of other ones. And The Food That Built America. In every case, without exception, the companies went through a disaster, a horrible disaster, like a factory burned down, the guy's only factory, and he had no money. In every disaster, that's when they found the genius idea that would propel them into the stratosphere when it came to wealth. In every adversity is the seed of a greater benefit. When something, quote, bad happens to me, I never say it's bad. I say, no, it may be bad, maybe not. But in this, I know there is the seed of a greater benefit. In my job, I'm a gold digger. You know, I'm a miner. I'm going to find the gold here. And I'm going to find the treasure that's here. And I'm going to thank the universe for giving me this disaster, this tragedy, because they didn't give me a tragedy. They gave me a gift. It's my job to find the treasure.
Oh,
Yeah.
I
Absolutely love it.
I could go on like all day with this one. Carrie, did you have one last question?
I just have one last question. There is most people speak about what they want, but not everybody gets it. You will hear people say, I want $1 million. I want $1 million. I want $1 million. So yes, there's power in the words that we speak, but there's also power in the emotions and in the beliefs that we hold. So where do you feel that they all have equal amount of power, or do you feel like one has more power over the other when we're talking about words and emotions and what your real beliefs are?
Yeah, if you look at the formula, it's number one, you have to see a picture of yourself in possession of what you desire and feel, there's your emotion, feel right now intently as if you would feel if you actually had it. Speak it out loud, but then release attachment to the outcome. But there's something that's also part of the formula, which I didn't mention, the 40 points of the algorithm is don't tell your dreams to other people.
Interesting.
You don't tell you, there's a little book called It Works.
Yeah.
It's a little tiny book. Been around for ages. Nobody reads it. Nobody knows it. It's like 50 cents. It works. And in it, it says, don't tell other people your goals and your dreams. Keep them to yourself. And you know why? Because everybody wants you to do well, just not that well. Mm-hmm. You have an automatic counterintention coming from your friends, relatives, and neighbors. If you say, I'm going to start my own business, I'm going to build this, and I'm going to become a millionaire, they're going, good. I hope they crash and burn. That's what they're saying, either consciously or subconsciously. So you're getting bombarded by all these counter intentions from people. Unless, you're married and you have a spouse or a business partner and you have the exact same goal, then you talk to one another and now you build a team that's even more powerful because you build a mastermind. But otherwise, I tell people nothing. I tell my dream. Oh, I get the Rolls Royce pull up. You never told me you were getting a Rolls Royce? No kidding. Oh, you get the new jet cup. You didn't tell me you were getting a new jet. No, I didn't. Yeah. That's my dream, and I keep it into myself because I don't know if I'm going to get it because I released attachment to the outcome anyway. I said, if it never happens, it's perfectly okay. Yeah. But you're not going to understand that, so I'm not going to share it with anybody else. I keep the dreams to myself. Always keep your dreams to yourself.
And it's your dream.
It's your dream, and it's got to be not somebody else's dream, as Zig Ziglar always says. Yes. It's got to be something you desire and want. You're not doing it for somebody else.
Yeah. Thank you for talking about Zig so much. He's so great.
I love Zig.
He's from Les
Brown.
I'm alive because Les Brown and Zig. I'm alive because
he's a good friend of mine too.
Guys.
Les has been to my house many times.
Is he still alive?
I talk to Les. Yeah.
Really?
I talk to Les all the time. Yeah.
Will you please tell him that I'm alive literally because of him?
Oh, good.
Yeah. Yeah.
So many people
seriously,
have said
I get
that.
teary. Like those guys, I'm not joking. They kept me afloat.
Ed Foreman was one of my best friends. He passed away recently, and he actually trained Zig. Ed Foreman had trained Zig and Judge Ziegler. Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, wow. Thank you for honoring.
Well, thank you, Kevin, just for joining us. Thank you for all your thoughtful questions, ladies, as well. For those that would love to pick up your book, Your Wish is Your Command, could you tell our audience a little bit more about the book itself and how to find it?
This is the book right here, Your Wish is Your Command. It's in hardcover. It's available at Amazon and also at kevintrudeau.com. And everything I offer is available at kevintrudeau.com. But this is really it's really being called the Think and Grow Rich of our time. Mm-hmm. And there's information in here for those of you who are reading it and you bought it. Well, thank you for your support. I know you're going to love the book. But there's information in this book that isn't in any book on success, because most of the success gurus out there know about success, but they don't know success. I generated over $25 billion in business before I wrote a book on success or how to, quote, manifest. I actually did it first. And so I'm coming from a different spot. I'm coming from actually, this is how I did it and hundreds of other people that I know did it, as opposed to some sound good theory. So Your Wish is Your Command, highly recommend it, endorse it, available at kevintrudeau.com and also on Amazon.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I truly appreciate you traveling out to see you.
My pleasure. Always a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So fun.
It was just an awakening. My income has doubled. I'm getting close to tripling.
You can build an amazing, amazing life, although just your wish is your command.
How much more money I'm earning and the woman that I have in my life is just miraculous.
Your wish is your command gave me the recipe to manifest the job that I wanted. It really just gives you the recipe.
After I finished it, my life changed. My income doubled. I make lots of money. It was like magic.
I'm making more money than I've ever had, ever.
Enlightening.
Empowering.
Powerful, but simple.
Inspiring. Activating.
After getting Your Wish is Your Command, I went from 5K on my bank account to 8 million in 1.5 years.